So, which team have you gone for then? Did you take the hard route by selecting a back marker and working your way to the top of the grid, or have you taken on the impossible by choosing Ferrari and trying to fix their strategy calls? Whether you've put on the shoes of a Wolf, Crack or Steiner, taking on the team principal role has been a really fun task over the past weekend in F1 Manager 22, and it just goes to show how challenging it is to be at the top of a Formula 1 team. Take a guess as to who I picked. Go on. As for the game itself, we've found some tips and tricks to share with you lot that'll help you with your experience, as there is a lot to tinker and experiment with. From those pesky sliders to the tiny details, hopefully this helps you gain those extra seconds per lap. If you have any tips or tricks of your own, then why not help out your fellow team principal in the comment section below. And also, subscribe to the Traxion channel if you haven't already. Anyway, let's get into it. Now, this doesn't apply to a few of the top teams as they already have very good statistics, but replacing your second driver within a backmarker team such as Williams really does make a huge difference. I know it's sad to say goodbye to the GOAT himself, Latifi, but this can help tremendously in the long run. I know it's painful, it just has to be done. It will take a few races for your new second driver to get up to speed, but the growth potential they can bring to their own development can eclipse your other driver. For example, Lance Stroll's growth potential is set as 1.16, but an F2 driver such as Jack Doohan or Frederick Vesti can easily be within the 1.50s, meaning they'll have better stats within the first 10 races or so. Oh, don't think about replacing Stroll with Hülkenberg, as their growth potential is a measly 0.65 alongside actually worse stats. This may also come with the price of breaking a contract as well, but a lower salary for your new driver can provide a higher profit for your finance sheet. F1 is a tough sport, you have to, drive to survive. Squeezing out every last potential of lap time is key throughout a season, which is where practice sessions come in to be very handy. It is easy, just let the AI take care of this, but this comes with a costly price when it comes to setups and tyre usage. We will cover setups in the next entry, but letting the AI handle this can be a gamble, as it can range anywhere from between 30% to a 90% confidence rating. Use this time to experiment on different strategies, pace options and setup discoveries, as it's crucial to gaining every last tenth. It's called practice for a reason. As for that pesky slider minigame that is setups, there is an easy method to follow when it comes to achieving 100% confidence for both cars. The more you play around, the easier it will be to understand, especially when you see the link between sliders and specific aerodynamic areas. The front wing angle connects to oversteer, the rear wing adjustments connect to straight line speed, anti-roll distribution connects to traction, and tyre camber and toe out are micro adjustments to the overall setup. What we would recommend is lining up these parameters inside the optimal blue area, sending out the drivers for a practice run, and then calling them back into the pits as soon as their feedback reaches 5 out of 5. Once they've given feedback, you can adjust accordingly to the new optimal range and slowly tweak until the range gets smaller and smaller. You can easily squeeze in 2 runs within each practice session, and every run provides valuable feedback to the setup. You're looking out for an optimal feedback rating on the right, which is the perfect point for the specific setting to be. If it's rated great, minimal adjustments are required. For good, a medium-sized change is required, whereas bad ratings require a large change. This feedback is only relevant to the previous outing with that specific setup, so you may have a line outside of the optimal area that claims it's the best setup, but don't get this confused with the current feedback if it says optimal. We'd recommend changing these specific areas in order. Firstly, the rear wing angle that changes the straight setting. This is only affected by the wing adjustments, meaning you won't need to worry about this very much. Secondly, adjust the front wing angle to set the required oversteer level, but not too much to affect the straights, which you may need to adjust the rear wing angle if it's outside the optimal area. After this, change the anti-roll distribution to change the traction, as one click majorly affects this area and softly affects the others. Tyre camber affects the rest with minimal adjustments. Make sure to keep an eye out on the oversteer and traction levels when adjusting this setting, as you may find yourself outside the optimal area. Finally, the toe out affects the cornering and braking stability areas, which also provides minimal changes to these settings. There is also another link we found specifically to the traction. If you wanted to decrease it while leaving everything else, simply adjust the anti-roll distribution and tyre camber to the left by 1 click, and the opposite if you need an increase. For another increase or decrease, add 1 click to the anti-roll and 2 clicks to the tyre camber, and then 1 click to the toe out. The straights can also be adjusted without affecting the oversteer and traction by adjusting the front wing, rear wing and tyre camber by 1 click, but this does come with a different cornering change, so adjusting the toe out is key here. Adjust accordingly, make small adjustments as you go along, and hopefully you'll reach that golden 100% confidence sweet spot. Now, this is all down to personal preference when it comes to required facilities, as you may desire additional engineers to help with research or extra team morale to increase the board's confidence, but there are 2 buildings we would recommend that help with your finances. Firstly, upgrading the tour centre to level 5 gives you a weekly profit of $33,000 and a monthly upkeep of $23,000, meaning an average profit of around $109,000 per month. Alongside its refurbishment cost, you'll easily make a couple of $1 million from this building throughout a season. Secondly, the helipad increases your team's attractiveness and sponsor targets payout, which will increase the rewards from performance targets if they're met, well worth the cheap cost. Lastly, a maxed out race simulator facility increases the weekly experience gain of your drivers and provides a faster way of earning development points. As for researching new parts for your car, don't be afraid to spend all of your CFD and wind tunnel hours in one go, as the ATR periods may not reset until you finish researching a specific part. These periods can be seen within the calendar as a red icon with a graphic representing 3 airflow parts, and also within the research area after selecting a new part, which tells you how many days until the next ATR period resets. Applying the most amount of hours and engineers on one specific part each time can easily maximize the potential of your car for next season. Forgotten to add a strategy to your drivers or missed out on the rain? Never fear, as this can be easily accessed and changed during a race. Simply click on the strategy view on the top right of the screen and you can adjust strategies on the fly and view conditions according to the track and your cars. This information is exactly what you'd find in the pre-race section, so there's no panicking to be had if you've been caught in an unexpected downpour. One thing we had missed early on was adjusting the driver's pace according to specific tyre stints. You can change this while editing a strategy, which also gives you a prediction of grip levels as the race goes on. This is crucial if you want to experiment with a start on the soft compound with an attacking pace and then pitting for hards with a conserving pace target. Just remember to update and select your strategy, however, as your driver will come on the radio and shout, "Stop it, Betty. Stop it, Betty." You are now in the top 10 with an incredible beast of a car, but how do you get that perfect start for almost every race? Rather than adjusting the pace targets while the race is going on, you can set this before it's even begun. On the pre-race screen, simply click on the driver options tab at the bottom of the UI and then set the pace mode to attack, the fuel usage to push, and the ERS strategy to overtake. This ensures the fastest launch you can provide to your drivers that hopefully leads to a bunch of good positions gained within the first lap. Just remember to turn these down afterwards, however, as you don't want to be left in the dust within the second lap due to the lack of ERS. Now, this is the most crucial point about this game we can recommend. Save your game regularly. Whether that means overwriting your specific save or making backups as you go along, otherwise you might accidentally replace your main autosave file when starting a new career. At this current time, there's only one autosave slot, and it's replaced instantly whenever you progress through the career. When it comes to loading a different career, this autosave file is instantly overwritten with the latest progress on your screen and your old autosave file is lost. Make sure to save regularly so the hours and hours of progress spent within your team to get to the top isn't lost forever, or don't if your name is Yuri Vips. So those are a handful of tips and tricks that we've come across in our time with F1 Manager 22 over the weekend. Are you ready to take on the role of team principal, and which team are you going to pick? Let us know in the comment section below. As said, if there are any more tips and tricks that you've come across in your game time, please let your fellow team principals know in the comment section below. And also, please do subscribe to the Traxion channel for more F1 Manager 22 content coming your way. Until then, I'll see you on the pit wall. Keep it pinned, and I'll see you next time.